Okay, thank you. I'd like to deliver the Dharma message. One thing that I learned from my predecessor here at Buddhist Church of Oakland, and he was also one of my teachers, Reverend Seigen Yamaoka, that was to appreciate the difficulties of those who came before us. So for you, if you're here for the Shotsuki, the memorial service, they might be your parents or grandparents or other kind of relative or ancestor. Maybe they're of Japanese descent, and whether from first generation or Japanese American, the difficulties that this community went through at various times, or maybe not, right? Everyone has difficulties in life, right? And what I've been kind of thinking is, wasn't it more difficult in earlier times, like before World War II, early 20th century, late 19th century? In some ways, maybe things were easier, simpler, let's say. Maybe simpler and easier is different, but I'm thinking more of, those of us who live in the second half of the 20th century or now 21st century, right? That we didn't have some of those difficulties that people in the past had. And in fact, I think our lives in recent times are kind of built on convenience in a lot of ways. Whether it's refrigeration, indoor plumbing, the telephone, right? Lately I've been watching reruns of Little House on the Prairie, which is not a show that I watched when I was a kid. My parents, I think, were more into the Waltons for some reason. Good night, John Boy, right? My dad liked Bonanza. So there we got Michael Landon, right? Who then goes on to be the father in Little House on the Prairie. And then Melissa Gilbert was Laura Ingalls, right? Based on some true stories, actually, right? But then changed into kind of a TV drama. But anyway, it seems like people get sick on that show fairly often. I mean, that was a worry back then, maybe. And sometimes I wonder, it's like, just call the doctor. And then, oh yeah, at this time, they didn't have telephones. Or even if they did, not everyone had one, right? It was maybe only in the center of town. And so something we take for granted, telephone, back then was you didn't have it. So this kind of convenience of telephone, now especially with cell phone, right? Really convenient. You can carry it with you wherever you go or whatever. ATM, right? I remember the days before ATMs when if you needed money, you had to go to the bank and stand in line and cash a check. Right? And if you didn't get there by 5 p.m. on Friday, you didn't have any cash over the weekend, right? And I think my dad was kind of probably a late adopter of credit cards. He was born in 1929, so he, grew up in the era before credit cards. So I don't remember him really having one till much later. And so, the convenience now. You don't even need to go to the ATM for cash anymore. You can pay with your phone, right? So we have this incredible convenience, and yet, is our life better? Is it easier? I think, whether that's one question. But another thing is to realize how much of this convenience we take for granted, or that I have taken for granted. And I think that recently we realized how much we took it for granted. Right? We've been having rolling blackouts, not as much this year, but was it last year when we had the high winds and everything? So my house, we lost power for over 24 hours. So refrigeration, this thing that we totally take for granted, right? And yet, no guarantees. Power goes down for 48 hours, 72 hours, your refrigerator's not going to keep stuff cold for that long. Right? Having a car and just being able to zip around wherever you want to go, the ability to go anywhere. Where are you going to go now, right? And plus the air quality is so bad, right, that it's kind of dangerous to go outside sometimes. I have a pretty clear memory of when the fires started, right? We had that crazy lightning storm here in the Bay Area. Some of you watching maybe don't live in the Bay Area, but it was a few weeks ago, and we kind of woke up like 3, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning maybe, to these booming sounds, right? It's like, wow, that's thunder. What's going on? We don't get storms like that here. I grew up with them in Massachusetts sometimes over the summer, but Bay Area usually didn't have them. And it lasted so long, and some of those booms were big, right? And then a few days later, we had our Fuken, the minister's summer seminar. And we had a big meeting on Tuesday, and then Wednesday we had a seminar, and it was hot. And we finished the seminar, and I realized, it finally cooled down. So I opened up the doors and everything, and then Reverend Adams from San Mateo, we were texting each other, and he told me, yeah, it's getting smoky here now. And I was like, what? Smoke? And then I stepped outside. Oh, wow, okay, I can smell that, right? And so the fires had started a couple days previously, but finally the smoke was getting to us here in the East Bay anyway, in the peninsula, right? And it got bad for several days. So I learned how to use purpleair.com, right? You can use the, is it air.gov or something, and they give you a very general sense, but Purple Air gives you local, real-time readings that might not be totally accurate, but you can get a general picture of more local kind of feeling. And so I learned that, and one day I was looking and it was like, whoa, it went from red to yellow and maybe even green. So I ran outside and I opened the windows and opened the door and went outside, and I just stood there like, just recently I was kind of thinking, how much longer am I going to stay in California? Is this the place to be anymore? And then standing out there breathing this beautiful, fresh, cool air in August, I thought, oh yeah, this is why. When we have weather like this, realize, whoa, this is really special, right? But then the smoke came back a couple days later, and I don't think it's let up since, right? And so, this constant change, constant back and forth is actually, kind of difficult to deal with. So remember, when things get difficult like this, we can get stressed, we can get depressed, and I think it's kind of good to be aware when you're feeling like that, to be aware, yeah, I'm kind of down. It's not bad. It's to feel that way. It's totally natural, right? These are really difficult, stressful times that we're in right now. There's times when I've been sad, when I've been moved to tears, really. I think on Wednesday we had that day when apparently the fog was keeping the smoke up really high, but it was also blocking the sun. So the sky was all this deep red. It looked like we're on Mars or something, right? And it was so dark, I couldn't believe it. And there were some times I saw that red sky and it was really distressing, right? Really kind of freaky. I've also felt afraid. This past week, I just caught myself at home with this kind of foreboding, right? This feeling of dread, like, is this it? Is this the disaster we've been waiting for? Right? Is this the end? Is it going to end this way? But I caught myself. I realized, I was like, wait, namandam, don't think like that. It's not, right? It's not happening. I can start imagining stuff. I can imagine all kinds of stuff and, fantasize kind of that, what if this happened, right? But realize, but it's not. It's not happening. Why am I getting stressed out? I almost didn't want to talk about this because I don't want to stress you out, right? But maybe you've had similar feelings. And so if you do start to feel that way, right? I felt like I stepped back from the brink, right? That really, I realized, don't think like that, right? And I was telling myself that. You don't want to spiral down like that. And so, technically within the tradition, we're not supposed to use Namo Amida Butsu as a tool or as a technique. But in case like that, if you find yourself kind of starting to imagine stuff and you start to get upset, Namo Amida Butsu. It's okay to say it, to use it, to stop. Right? It's not going to help anything to start thinking and fantasizing about what could go wrong, because that's just going to bring you down. Right? I think it's okay to say Namo Amida Butsu, and maybe I should go so far as to say you should say Namo Amida Butsu. Right? I think when things are going fine, you're like, yeah, maybe, whatever. Yeah, I'll say it at church, but whatever. But it's almost like we're back during Shinran's time, right? With blood red skies, smoke and fires. That this is kind of the reality I think that Shinran lived in many ways, right? And so maybe saying Namo Amida Butsu is a good thing, right? Maybe this is something that we should start saying more. You know, I was thinking if you're, so if you're feeling down, Namo Amida Butsu. If you're feeling good, Namo Amida Butsu. Right? In times of plenty, right? When not a care in the world, right? Namo Amida Butsu. Don't take it for granted, right? To try, and I think Amida Buddha helps us appreciate what we do have. But then in times of difficulty, Namo Amida Butsu. Right? It can help us realize how we're feeling, give us insight into ourselves, help us kind of step back from what's actually a narrow, limited mindset, even though to me it looks like reality. No. I only see things because of who I am, what I'm going through, right? And so, Namo Amida Butsu, help remind us that we're not alone, right? That Amida Buddha is with us, that we're connected to others, even when we're not together in person. That we're connected with all the people on the list, right? This list that I read, we're still connected to them. They're still part of who you are. We don't think about it in our everyday life, but under circumstances like these, maybe we should. Right? I think they're thinking about us too, right? They're Buddhas now, so they're with Amida Buddha thinking about us. They're actually here with us, right? Trying to help us through this. I think they went through a lot of difficulties. I don't think they ever foresaw what we're going through now. And so I think they really care. Right? They're thinking about us the way maybe you care about your children or your grandchildren. That care, right? Shinran says Shakyamuni Buddha and Amida Buddha are like our compassionate and loving mother and father, right? Like our parents, Oya-sama. Right? Not all of us are lucky enough to have parents still alive with us, but that ideal love, right, and care of parents. So, yeah. Please take care. To really, to realize, these are difficult, strange, stressful times, and maybe realizing that can help us persevere. To gaman, right? I talked a few weeks ago. So let's recite the name of the Buddha, recite Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, thinking about our loved ones who've already passed before us, thinking about our loved ones and friends who are still here with us, even though we're not together. Yeah. So let's conclude with Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. 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 Okay, let's sing Gata Ondok-san 2, which is on page 220 in the large purple BCA service book. Ready, go. Nyonai dai no ondoku wa miyoko ni shite mo hozu beshi shishu chishiki no ondoku mo hone o kudakite mo shasu beshi. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. Okay, thank you everyone. Take care. And you can always visit the website, BuddhistChurchOfOakland.org. For updates and information, and if you want to donate, you can send checks into we do come in. Someone comes in the office about once a week, checking the mail and everything. So that's okay too. Okay, take care, everyone, and we'll see you soon.